I'm joined here today by Damien Brown, coming off a big win over Darren Cruikshank and Rizin back in New Year's Eve. Damien, how are you today?
I'm good, man. Feeling real good.
Of course, and especially coming off that win. But before we get to that, a lot of stuff happened before leading up to that. So just like to start with the UFC, man. So what kind of happened with your UFC release?
Man, it was weird. Like they paid for some surgeries and stuff. Like had some injuries, and we got that all sorted. And I was on the road to recovery, and then I got the release. It's just it is what it is, man. It's just business. It's I lost 3 fights in a row, and the UFC really cares about statistics and numbers, and for whatever reason they got a bigger emphasis on records than they do on performances. So that's the game, and I think everyone in the world knows that now. So it's just on to whatever was next, and luckily Rizin came up.
And so, like you mentioned, Rizin came up. So how did that signing come together? Did you talk to multiple MMA promotions? How did that sort of happen?
I had a bit of a chat to the matchmaker at Bellator, and besides that, I just contacted Rizin, and they said they were keen. So, and then I had my manager ask me, so I contacted him because I didn't have a manager, and then I had a manager reach out to me and say, "Hey man, do you want this fight?" And I was Cruikshank, and that's basically how it came up. So now I've got a new manager, and he's in Australia, which is even better. It's easy to contact him, and it just definitely works better having a management company that's in the same time zone.
Of course, man. And so now you've signed with Rizin. You've had your first fight already. Are you happy overall that you chose to sign with them?
Yeah, man. When the UFC let me go, my whole focus was fighting for Rizin or Bellator. I would have fielded any other offers, but I like the Japanese MMA rules, and I was super keen to experience that. So I'm happy that I got signed by him, and speaking now like post event, I'm definitely over the moon about it. They treated me well. They give fighters everything they need, every opportunity to sort of perform, and I'm stoked, man. I'm super happy.
And so how do you look back over your performance against Darren? Obviously he was doing really well, coming off some victories. How do you look back at your performance?
Oh man, it was I don't mean any disrespect to him, but he's a very one-dimensional fighter. I'm sure he's got some wrestling and some grappling, but he is a very one-dimensional kind of guy. Like you can pretty much what you're getting when you're fighting him, and that's he's going to stand up. He's a world-class striker. He's going to try and knock you out with big shots. But the fact is, you can only spin and throw those techniques effectively, or very effectively, for so long before you start to fatigue, and then you start standing in front of people. And then it becomes just single shots, single bit spinning back fist, single spinning kick, as opposed to a setup. And when he gets pressured a little bit, I feel like whether it's because he's trying to secure a round, have a breather, or just change it up, I'm not sure, but I feel like if he gets pressured, not necessarily with strikes, but just forward pressure, he'll shoot for a takedown. So it played out the way that we thought it was going to when we reviewed his fights and whatever, and thankfully we got the victory.
And so we know from a fan's perspective, the UFC and Rizin, they're very different. For you as a fighter behind the scenes, just how different are the two organizations?
Oh, man. Obviously the UFC's massive, and they've got people doing every individual job. I think I barely ever spoke to the matchmakers of the UFC more than a couple of times, and it was never an in-depth conversation, whereas the matchmaker for Rizin was there every day. I could talk to him. He was part of the admin staff. And, I think it's just more personable, and that's because it's not as big an organisation, but it's still massive. So I think that was probably a big difference. It's just how easy it was to contact people and get things done.
And so how long is your contract with Rizin? Can we expect to see you a few more times out there, or are you going to have to renegotiate at some point?
I got one more fight left on my deal. I was super happy to sign a 2-fight semi-exclusive deal. Just so, so I could get my feet in the water and... Hang on, son. Sorry, guys. So I could get my feet in the water and just sort of, get back to winning and get things done. So, hopefully we can talk to them about a new deal before the next fight. I mean, they got a GP coming up, I think. So it's been pretty well published, and I'm not sure if it's been like officially announced, but it's been pretty well publicised. Just get my son. Hey, say good day. Say good day, boy. It's been pretty well publicised that they're going to do a GP this year at lightweight, 16 man. So obviously I want to get in that, and you can't let someone go into a tournament with one fight left on their deal. So I expect that we'll get a new deal at some point. I'm just not sure whether it'll be for other fights or whether it'll be for the tournament. That's not my job, man. My job's to train and fight, so we'll see what happens.
And so I believe in 2018 you fought twice, once early in the year, at the end of the year. Were you hoping to fight more this year?
Oh, 100%, man. I was super frustrated, but, I had knee surgery and I had foot surgery, so I had a massive sort of layoff, 11 months, and probably 8 of it was spent injured. So it is what it is, man. I like to fight 4 times a year.
And so how was it for you with this layoff? I mean, was part of it, just your recovery, or part of it was trying to get a new promotion? I mean, what was sort of happening during those months?
It was just about getting my rehab done and whatnot, but just getting better as a martial artist. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu and really worked on my game and worked on my striking, and I think I evolved in that time off as well. So I think I definitely made the most of the time off, and I look forward to hopefully staying busy this year and putting all that work from last year into practice.
And so 2019, obviously a big year for you. You got a lot of goals, I'm sure. What are some of those goals you have for this year?
Sorry, mate. Say that again.
What are your goals that you have for 2019?
Oh man, I want to fight in the tournament for Rizin, but I want to stay busy. So I'm open to whatever, man. Like I said, they're only exclusive in Asia, so if that means I can get a fight around March or April, then I'd like to do that. I'd like to fight in the States again, so maybe Bellator will come knocking. I'm not sure, but hopefully I can fight one stand and then fight in the tournament at the end of the year. And obviously we plan on winning, so that'll get me 5 more fights this year.
All right, so I just have one more for you. Obviously, you said you want to come back around March or April in the tournament. Ideally for you, who would you like to fight first in that tournament?
I'd say that again. I'm just grab my earpiece.
Ideally, who would you like to fight first in the tournament?
Oh man, I don't even know who's in it really. I mean, it's a 16 man. I think they've only got about 8 or 10 lightweights at that level. So, I mean, man, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. Like I really don't mind. Like who I fight is irrelevant. I just want the biggest fights, the biggest opportunities at each point in time, and then I'll make the most of each one as it comes. I'm 34 years old. For me, it's all about one fight at a time now, and getting the victories and build myself back up.